All right, let's get right into it. For years, we've all been drilled on the idea that what you eat is everything for healthy metabolism. But what if I told you that when you eat might actually be the real superpower? Okay, let's dive in because we are about to unpack the incredible science of meal timing.
So let's start with a big question, one that kind of throws a wrench in a belief many of us have held for a long time. Is a calorie always just a calorie? The old calories in, calories out model says, yep, totally. But as we're about to find out, our bodies, well, they tell a completely different story.
Just take a look at this. We're talking about the exact same 600-calorie meal. If you eat it at 8 in the morning, your body is revved up, ready for energy, and it handles that food with amazing efficiency. But eat that very same meal at 8 at night, and your body's reaction just flips on its head. It's now primed for storage, and it processes that food so inefficiently. How on earth is that possible? Well, that's what this explainer is all about. The answer to this whole paradox isn't found on our plates, but deep within our own biology. It all comes down to what we can think out as our body's two separate clocks. This is where we really start to understand our own internal rhythm. It all starts with our circadian rhythms. Now, these are basically internal 24-hour clocks that are always running in the background. Think of them like a master computer program that coordinates a daily schedule for, well, everything, from when you feel sleepy or awake to hormone release, and most importantly for us, your metabolism. Now, here's where it gets really fascinating. The whole system has two parts. First, you've got the master clock up in your brain, and its main cue is sunlight. Simple enough. But then you have these separate organ clocks in your liver, your pancreas, and your gut. And what syncs these clocks? Food. Right there, you can probably see the potential for a major conflict. And this quote just nails the problem perfectly. When we eat late, our master clock sees that it's dark outside and tells the body, hey, it's time to shut things down for the night. But our organ clocks suddenly get a rush of food and start screaming, wait, it's time to get to work. The result is this rhythm conflict, a kind of internal confusion that scientists call metabolic jet lag. So what does this metabolic jet lag actually look like in our day-to-day lives? Let's get into the evidence and break down the really profound difference between how your body handles food in the morning compared to the evening. This table really says it all. In the morning, your insulin sensitivity is at its absolute peak. That means your body is a rock star at moving sugar from your blood into your cells for energy. Your blood sugar is controlled quickly and efficiently. But by the evening, you become naturally more insulin resistant, so the same meal causes a way bigger, much longer-lasting spike in your blood sugar. And then you've got this other thing called the thermic effect of food, or TEF. You can just think of it as the energy tax your body pays to digest your meal, the calories it burns just by processing food. And as this chart shows, that tax is way higher in the morning. Your body literally burns more calories processing your breakfast than it does processing the exact same dinner. It's wild. So, the crucial point, the real bottom line, is this. When you combine that lower insulin sensitivity with a lower thermic effect of food in the evening, the outcome is pretty clear. That late-night meal needs less energy to be processed and is way, way more likely to be rerouted straight into fat storage. But wait. There's actually another major player in this whole story, a kind of hidden saboteur of late-night eating that makes everything even worse. We need to talk about the surprising conflict between melatonin and insulin. Yeah, we all know melatonin as the sleep hormone, but it turns out it's got a pretty important side hustle. As melatonin levels start to rise in the evening, it sends a direct signal to your pancreas to seriously cut back on insulin production. It's actually an evolutionary safety feature meant to stop your blood sugar from crashing while you're asleep and fasting all night. I absolutely love this analogy from the research. It just perfectly captures what's happening. When it gets dark outside and your melatonin levels are climbing, your pancreas is basically hanging up a giant closed for business sign. It's getting ready for its night shift of rest and repair, not the day shift of digestion. This timeline really shows the collision course we're on. So the sun sets and melatonin starts its slow rise. Then, at 9 p.m., bam, you eat a late meal and a flood of sugar hits your bloodstream. But because your pancreas is closed for business, that sugar has nowhere to go. It just gets stuck in your blood for hours, which can cause all sorts of problems and really encourage fat storage. Okay, so we've gone through the science and the problems, and it might sound a bit discouraging. But the best part is, we can actually do something about it.
So let's talk about some real, practical steps you can take to get your meals back in sync with your internal clocks.
Here are 3 core strategies. First, front-load your calories. Try to make breakfast or lunch your biggest meal of the day and dinner your smallest. Second, think about time-restricted feeding, but specifically in an earlier window, something like 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. This helps match your eating with your body's peak metabolic performance. And finally, consistency is king. Eating at regular times helps train your organ clocks, making them more efficient every single day.
Now, if you only remember one thing from all of this, make it this number, 3. A simple but incredibly powerful rule is to stop eating at least 3 hours before you go to sleep. This gives your body just enough time to clear most of that glucose from your blood before melatonin really kicks into high gear and tells your pancreas to shut down for the night. So, as we wrap up, it's pretty clear the whole conversation around food needs to shift a little. The question isn't just about what's on your plate anymore. It's about what time the clock says when you pick up your fork. And that really leaves you with one final thought to chew on. Is your fork synchronized with the sun?